ain't ready.
The baby's back.
That problem was my fault.
You alive because of me.
I ain't never been more alive.
Now, over the past week, there's been a lot of exclusive clips. There's been about 5 or 6. I've kind of just waited because just as I did for Power Book 2 Ghost, we wrapped them all up in one breakdown, rather than just doing them one by one. And we're going to do the exact same thing for Raising Kanan with all the exclusive clips they've dropped for Season 4. A lot of these clips are from Episode 1 and what I assume is Episode 2, but I also do think there are a few from a few episodes later as well. So we're going to be running through a host of exclusives. There's going to be one for Unique, a couple for Marvin and Lou, Stefano, and there's also a few conversations involving Kanan, Raq, and also Snaps and Pop. But first things first, let's take a look at the Unique teaser with early Tyler.
Everybody think you dead and gone. You're invisible. Just give me a couple more days. I'm gonna be ready to settle this score.
Now, we've spoken a lot about Unique and Early Tyler over the last 2 to 3 weeks. It seems like Early Tyler was the one who helped Unique survive. And also based on the early reviews for Episode 1, they are going to have a flashback which goes back 3 months. So I do think much of what we see here and much of what we'll see in Episode 1 will potentially be a flashback. That goes for this conversation where Early Tyler says, "Everyone thinks you're dead and gone. You're invisible." And this really is a huge advantage and opportunity for Unique. With everybody thinking he's gone, he can actually roam the streets invisible, as long as he doesn't get caught or where anyone recognizes him, which I don't think they will. He's dressed in all black with his hood up, and being invisible at this moment in time is going to be really fun to watch. I made reference to Kanan's situation in Power and how he was able to remain invisible after Ghost thought he got rid of him at the end of Season 2 Episode 10. He was able to manipulate Tariq as Slim and make all of these maneuvers in the streets using Dre. The situation with Unique is kind of different. A lot of people believe Unique will come back as Breeze. I still don't think he will. And even when and if he does come face to face with Kanan, Kanan also knows him as Unique. Everybody in the streets still know him as Unique. To law enforcement, he's still Unique. But it definitely will be interesting and fun watching Unique causing absolute terror while he stays invisible. And I do think he'll have a lot of us on the edge of our seats, just like he's got Lou in his sights here. So let's see how far he really goes. But moving on to the next one with Marvin and Stefano.
You need me to do more work for you. My daughter Paulette, her new husband Tommaso, he's embarrassing her and me, and that's unacceptable. Problem is Tommaso's a made guy, so I can't have one of my own guys go over there and knock some much needed sense into him. That's against the rules.
Now, in this Marvin and Stefano exclusive, Stefano mentions he loves how Marvin was a true professional, and he was basically referring to what he did for him towards the end of 302. He got rid of Sal Baselli posing as the mailman. However, it seems like either in Episode 1 or 2, Stefano will have another job for him. His son-in-law Tommaso's been disrespecting his daughter Paulette, and he wants Marvin to, have a strong word with him, persuade him to basically cut that shit out. Now, I do think Marvin will get the job done for Stefano, but it really is interesting that he's here without Raq, because I highly doubt Raq would kind of approve of this. That's number 1. Number 2, could it potentially go wrong? We've seen him outsource before where things have taken a turn, which was when he ordered the hit of Tony Deep. He does have a history of fuck-ups dating all the way back to Season 1. He may do exactly what Stefano asked, but would anybody be surprised if something went wrong, which just kind of complicates things a little more. Now, what I would say about Marvin though, he is someone who is a lot more mature compared to the Marvin we saw early in Season 1. He's not as reckless, he's not as hot-headed, so I would like to think he won't mess things up. But those are 2 points I do think are worth mentioning. Does Raq know about Marvin and what he's doing here, and could something potentially go wrong?
Got straight shit on by some crack-ass motherfucker he was trying to help. And I did right by that fool, he still did me wrong.
Now on to the next one with Marvin and Lou. In this scene it seems like we've got Marvin picking up Lou from Cedar Shores, the rehab center that he was sent to help him clear his mind and sober up until he was ready to come back to Queens. Lou really appreciated the fact that Marvin helped him, but that's what brothers do. That's what Marvin does. Like he mentioned in Season 1, you never give up on family. But what he said next is what I want to kind of focus on. He said basically he got shot on by someone who he was trying to help, someone who he was trying to be a good friend to, That was of course Gerald. Gerald betrayed him in season 3 when all Marvin did was try and be there for him and also his daughters. And I really do feel like once you're betrayed, once someone breaks your trust, sometimes you can end up putting a brick wall up and just think, you know what, fuck everyone. Not everyone is the same, but because you put in so much time and effort to be there for someone, your whole mentality changes because of one betrayal, or in Marvin's case, one snitch. So one thing's for sure, I don't think Marvin will get caught like he did with Gerald. But moving on to Stefano.
You make me an offer, a better offer than our Vietnamese associate? That would be something worth discussing.
Now we've got Stefano telling Raq if she makes him an offer more than their Vietnamese friend, which I assume he's talking about Quan. If Raq makes him an offer more than Quan, then that really would be something worth discussing. And again, this is something we've spoken about before when it comes to Raq. Raq is very ambitious when it comes to the game. She's always wanted to expand, build. She's always willing to learn from those around her, whether it be learning about high rises from Symphony or how to clean a cache from Cartier Duns Farid. But at some point in season 4, it does seem like Raq may be climbing the ladder, or at least attempting to, because we've got her in a meeting with Stefano and what seems to potentially be another member of the crime family. So never expect Raq to just accept the position she's in. She's always going to look to climb the ladder. And I do think, even though she may not like Snaps and Pop, she probably does have a bit of admiration for the two in terms of how they've kind of positioned themselves. Now with that being said, this is the one involving Kanan, Raq, Snaps and Pop.
Any deal you made with Ronnie went in the ground with him.
With all due respect, this conversation doesn't involve you, Raq.
Let's go, Kanan.
I'm not done talking.
You listen to your mother, son.
Now Snaps and Pop are going to tell Kanan they now own a piece of his business because they gave the okay to get rid of Ronnie. Of course, Kanan's not happy with the terms, but I guess it's going to be a really harsh lesson in the streets that he is going to have to learn. He might not be done talking, but I think Snaps and Pop are. Their terms simply aren't going to change. Although I do think Kanan will come back once he's calmed down, a bit later on in the season where they do have a different type of conversation.
If you want people to see you as you gotta let them know who you are.
In the trailer they have teased that Snaps and Pop could potentially be mentoring Kanan. And I do think the deeper we get into season 4, the deeper Kanan gets into the streets and the deeper he gets into the game, the more he's going to sway away from working for Raq and maybe working directly for Snaps and Pop, or at least try to.
My business is my business.
My product, my rule.
We know he's going to be making a play to Stefano, and I personally wouldn't be surprised if that was orchestrated by Snaps.
I saw an opportunity to solve a problem in the moment, and I took it. That's all I did.
That problem was my father.
It was the right thing to do. It's one thing not to be able to trust my son. I mean, I can almost live with that. But I have to be able to trust my business.
Now on Kanan and Raq, we've got Raq warning Kanan about being very careful about Snaps and Pop, but the conversation quickly turns to how Raq got rid of Detective Howard, which is something we've been waiting to see. We knew this was definitely coming in season 4, and we knew it'd cause even more tension between them, and you can clearly tell. They may be working together, Kanan might be moving weight for Raq, but there's still a lot of friction and frankly, a lack of trust between them, which actually does go both ways. Raq says that she can live with not being able to trust her son, but she has to be able to trust her business partner. But just like I mentioned in the previous chapter of this breakdown, I don't think she can trust Kanan. I do think what's happened between them, the bridge has been completely burnt, and there's definitely going to be more moves that are made which does just make things a little worse, where in the end, Kanan goes his own separate way. So even though we do find them working together at the beginning of season 4, even though Kanan does seem to be moving weight for Raq, I do think you can definitely feel a lot of distance between them. So definitely an interesting dynamic that will shift a lot more across season 4 and also into season 5.
They ain't ready.
The baby's back. Now. Doing in business. To be able to trust my business.
Now in this final teaser there are a few scenes I do think are worth mentioning. We've got Marvin mentioning Juke is back, and I do think that's because she's come back from basic training. I dropped a breakdown maybe over a year ago, just after season 3 finished, where I broke down how Juke would potentially join the army. We may see a flashback of her in the army, and why it actually makes sense for her character arc. Love is also in the air for a lot of these characters. We've also got Marvin in a fight, and as I mentioned before, I don't think Marvin is going to stand for any bullshit in season 4. We've also got Raq in a meeting. Again, we went through this earlier. I do think Raq will try and level up in the game. But we've also got these two scenes. Now, I'm not going to say they're kind of related, but I do think these are the ones that stood out the most for, at least for me. Kanan looking as if he's in tears, and someone holding a gun to what looks like Famous. Our first potential look at Famous in Season 4. I do think there are going to be a few big moments ahead in Season 4. I said it on X not too long ago, big moments are definitely coming. And I think Kanan here, and Famous with a gun towards him in this scene, these two particular scenes probably will fall in that category of big moments. But there we have it, we're finally up to date. I'm sure there probably will be one or two more that drop in the next week or so. And if they are from episode 1, then I'll definitely combine it in at the end of the week for my episode 1 preview. I'll of course also be bringing in a lot of quotes from the cast and also the showrunner Sasha Penn. That's as and when I feel it's relevant to the particular storyline. So I've got a host of quotes ready to give you guys as and when. But drop me all your thoughts down below in the comment section. We're less than 1 week away and I can't wait. Raising Kanan is finally back.